Now, let me explain to you applications of vulnerability assessment frameworks. Students, adaptation to climate planning. Vulnerability studies are used to frame vulnerability by countries. 2. National adaptation plans. National determined contributions (NDCs). Sectoral adaptation plans such as agriculture, water and health. Strategies on disaster risk management, identifying hotspots, frameworks assist in mapping the areas which are highly susceptible to drought, for example, arid regions, or floods such as regarding the river basin and deltas, sea level rise regarding the coastal zones, or glacial melt, which is related to the mountainous areas. So, after all the discussions about the applicability of indexes, it is important to discuss briefly on the significance of vulnerability assessment frameworks. Students, as we know that climate change is not a recent development, but rather a socio-economic and political issue of concern today. Vulnerability assessment models enable us to realize who is most at risk, why they are vulnerable, what factors intensify risk, how vulnerability vary over time, what are the ways to make resilience better. The paradigms created by IPCC and UNDP enable governments, researchers and communities to come up with scientifically and socially fair adaptation policies. They encourage evidence-based clinical decision making, total development planning, targeted interventions, incalculation of climate issues into daily governance, practitioners' issues with vulnerability assessment. Though there are useful, there are a number of issues also, such as data limitation. In most of the areas, there are no precise climatic and socio-economic statistics. The second one is climate models are not certain. Projections that are made in future are subject to uncertainty. The third is precariousness of the social C2, gender inequality, caste and political power, and some of the factors that are hard to measure. The fourth is changing character of vulnerability. The vulnerability varies with time because the importance of vulnerability assessment frameworks. Now, let me also explain to you the resource allocation and funding. As you know that funds are given to the communities that are classified as highly vulnerable by international institutions such as the Green Climate Fund, which has been described to you in previous lectures. Community-based adaptation participatory approaches are useful in designing interventions like diversification of livelihood, ecosystem-based adaptation, improved water management, resilient framing to climate changes. Now, let us discuss about the context dependence. What is this? The outcome of the livelihood vulnerability index are determined by the regional settings. What can be an indicator in one area will be irrelevant in another. So, comparison between livelihood vulnerability index and other vulnerability assessment frameworks is also necessary. There are number of frameworks used to evaluate vulnerability, among which there are the household vulnerability index. It is associated with the level at which the country is utilizing its resources. It includes aspects such as climate change vulnerability, the extent to which previously stable climate conditions may cause economic impact over the long term. Next is, as I discussed, the sustainable livelihood framework. Livelihood vulnerability index stands out because it incorporates a variety of dimensions. It offers one composite score, it is user friendly, it is in line with SLF and IPCC models. Other frameworks can offer a more detailed understanding of the dimensions, yet Livelihood Vulnerability Index offers the balance between the comprehensive approach and the pragmatic approach. So, the LVI and sustainable development, the Livelihood Vulnerability Index can be an important part of the process of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. How? It provides insights for SDG 1, that is related to no poverty, SDG 2, which is zero hunger, SDG 3, which explains about the good health and well-being, SDG 6, which talks about the clean water and sanitation, SDG 13, which is on climate action, and SDG 14 and 15, which is related to life below water and life on land. Students, governments and organizations can use vulnerable population to initiate specific development programs. Livelihood Vulnerability Index in the context of India is very popular in studying vulnerability in states and communities. As I explained to you, regions like Himalaya, coastal Odisha, Sundarban, Rajasthan, as well as northeastern states are some of the key areas for study purpose. The common findings revealed much exposure to rain-fed farming areas, high sensitivity among tribal as well as marginalized population, water scarcity as one of the main vulnerability factor. Apart from that, good influence of social network on decreasing vulnerability, climate variability with major effects in agriculture. So, a study based on LVI have been used to inform watershed planning and development, climate adaptation and rural livelihood missions. Applying Livelihood Vulnerability Index to future planning and building of resiliency. Summary. To summarize the entire lecture, the Livelihood Vulnerability Index is a flexible, potent and multifaceted instrument of explaining how communities, households and people find vulnerability amidst the evolving world. This is because with the ongoing form of livelihood systems due to climate change and environmental degradation, economic uncertainties and social inequalities, the relevance of proper vulnerability assessment is increasingly becoming a critical issue. Livelihood Vulnerability Index combines socio-economic, environmental and climatic aspects in order to give a clear and holistic image of vulnerability. Having a solid theoretical base, the practical organization and high generalizability has become a universally accepted structure of researcher, policymakers and development practitioners.